In the winter of 1944, a man stood naked in a Nazi concentration camp while guards took everything from him. His clothes. His wedding ring. The manuscript he had spent years writing. His name became a number. And yet, standing there in the freezing cold, something happened inside him that the guards could not touch. Something they had no power to take. That man was Viktor Frankl. The story begins in Vienna, in the 1920s, in a city drunk on ideas. Viktor Frankl was born in 1905, obsessed from teenage years with one question: why do people keep going? He was so intense about this that at 16, he wrote a letter to Sigmund Freud himself. Not a fan letter, a letter proposing ideas. Freud wrote back. He even arranged to have one of Frankl's essays published. But as Frankl studied Freud and Adler, two giants of Viennese psychology, he felt something was missing. He kept asking, what about meaning? What about the person who sacrifices everything because they believe in something larger than themselves? He began building his own theory, what he would call logotherapy. The central idea was simple and radical: the deepest human drive is not pleasure, not power, but the search for meaning. By 1942, the war had closed around Vienna. Frankl had a visa to America. But his parents couldn't leave. And he couldn't leave them. He burned the visa. Within months, he, his wife Tilly, his parents, and his brother were all deported. He arrived at Auschwitz with one thing of value: his manuscript, the early draft of his life's work. The guards destroyed it. He watched strong men collapse without reason. And he watched frail, sick, old men somehow hold on. The difference wasn't muscle. It was meaning. Men who had someone to return to found reserves of resilience that defied explanation. He saw men who lost their sense of why they were alive give up within days. Their bodies were fine. But something essential had gone out. He wrote about one man who said, "I have nothing left to live for." Frankl didn't offer false comfort. He asked, "But is there nothing that still expects something of you?" He helped the man see that his choices, even here, still mattered. That how he bore his suffering was itself a kind of answer. This is the observation everything rests on. Even in the worst conditions imaginable, even here, there remained one freedom that couldn't be taken. The freedom to choose your attitude. The freedom to decide what meaning you gave to what was happening to you. Frankl called this the last of human freedoms. Frankl wasn't just observing others. He was applying his theory to himself in real time. When they took his manuscript, he began rewriting it from memory on stolen scraps of paper. When marched to forced labor before dawn, he kept himself going by mentally lecturing, imagining giving a talk on the psychology of the concentration camp to an audience after the war. He transformed his suffering into material. There was a moment when he was being marched before dawn, stumbling in the dark, hands numb with cold, and his mind drifted to his wife. He thought of her face. And he understood something he had never understood before. He understood what poets had always known, that love is not just an emotion. It is a way of seeing. By loving her, he could access something the camp could not touch. He later wrote, "The salvation of man is through love and in love." When the camps were liberated in 1945, Frankl was one of the few in his immediate family to survive. He had lost his wife, his mother, his brother. He returned to Vienna. He was 40 years old. And within 9 days, he dictated the book. The book was called Man's Search for Meaning. It has sold over 16 million copies. Translated into more than 50 languages. Named one of the 10 most influential books in America. Not best psychology book. Not best memoir. 10 most influential books, period. Most anxiety, depression, and quiet desperation in modern life isn't caused by too much pain. It's caused by pain that feels meaningless. Suffering you can't explain to yourself. Frankl's answer: suffering is inevitable, the question is what you do with it. Viktor Frankl survived for concentration camps. He rewrote his manuscript from memory. He lost his wife, his mother, his brother, and still found his way back. He lived to 92. And he spent the rest of his life saying the same thing: everything can be taken from a man but one thing, to choose one's own way. You still have that. Whatever you've lost, that remains. Thank you for watching. We hope you enjoyed this video and found it meaningful. If you'd like to see more content like this, please consider subscribing, sharing the video, and leaving a comment below. Your support and feedback truly encourage us and help motivate us to create more thoughtful videos like these. Thank you for being part of the journey.